In this video, we're going to be looking at the benefits of using a US dropshipping supplier, how to find these suppliers, and how to talk to them. All right, let's go. So before I go through some of the tools to find a US dropshipping supplier, I want to talk about why you would actually want to use one. The first one is, of course, faster shipping times for customers that are in the USA. And because the USA is one of those tier 1 countries and has a high GDP and is probably going to be one of your first areas for targeting on Facebook ads, this is a good reason. You know, it may not seem important. You might get carried away with the best Facebook strategy, the best funnel, the best marketing, the best way to set up your Shopify store. But shipping is really paramount. Look at Amazon Prime. It's absolutely killing it. 1 day, 2 day, 3 day delivery. If you're going to use China dropshipping suppliers, you're not going to be getting 3-day delivery. You're more likely getting 20-day delivery. So this is probably the primary benefit of using a US-based dropshipping supplier. You want your customers to be happy. You want to be happy yourself. And if your shipping's going to take this long, it's not going to bring people back to your store. They're going to be upset.
No! No!
Do this in reverse. You want to exceed the expectations of your customers. Shipping from inside the US to customers inside the US is usually going to take 1 to 3 business days. So that means that it's likely that your customers will actually receive the product next day. And if you advertise 1 to 3 shipping days and it arrives the next day, they're going to be happy. And a happy customer is your best marketing tool. We've talked about social proofs on this channel. We've talked about reviews through looks. This is a really powerful tool that you can use to show other people who land on your page that your product is worth buying. It's very simple, really. The second benefit of using a US dropshipping supplier is a reliable tracking system, a far superior one to China e-packet.
Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
If you're going to be shipping from inside the USA, you're going to be using suppliers and couriers like FedEx, UPS, and DHL, who all have robust systems in place to make sure that your tracking information is up to date and it's not going to get lost on the way or damaged along the way.
Sounds broken.
All of these companies provide these sorts of tracking systems, and you can display this on your website, or you can link your customers to it through something like AfterShip. Now, a third point to consider is because you have this flexibility with shipping times, you can showcase to your customers different shipping options. You'll notice that when you go on Amazon, they will actually reward you if you choose a later shipping time. They'll make it cheaper for you if you say, I don't really mind when I get it. And you're going to have to pay a pretty penny if you want it tomorrow. So use this to your advantage in your stores. You're going to be able to give the customer the option, if they really need it urgently, to have it urgently. Compared to AliExpress, which sometimes is up to 40-day delivery, this is really a game changer. That shower head that I've talked about in many videos, that literally took 2 months to arrive. And that's just kind of unacceptable, really.
That is blasphemous!
Now let's talk about some product benefits. Now, American dropshipping suppliers are going to be charging a whole lot more than Asian dropshipping suppliers. And without having to go into a lesson on free trade and capitalism, this is pretty obvious. Unfortunately, Asian suppliers aren't going to be paying their workers, their factory workers. Everybody in the pipeline is going to be paid a lot less than people who live inside the USA. The cost of living, labor, materials, and rent overhead are far higher in places like the USA than they are in China. And all of these contribute to higher product costs. So what's the benefit of this higher cost? You're going to be able to charge your customers a whole lot more because of these changes. And people are becoming more and more aware of exploitation in the third world. And they're going to be prepared to pay top dollar for products that they know are coming from places with good standard of living, where people aren't being as exploited as in other places. And hopefully this trend will continue so that we can all have a higher standard of living all over the world. But we'll see. Products being made inside the USA and shipped from your dropshipping supplier are going to be of a higher quality. The USA has always had a reputation for manufacturing a good quality standard of goods and services. Whereas if you're buying from China, Taiwan, or Vietnam, these products don't have the same reputation, even though the differences are pretty marginal. your customer is going to see that American-made stamp of approval, and they're going to want to buy from you.
America first.
This stamp of approval is going to get under the skin of patriotic Americans. They're going to be like, hell yeah, I'm going to get me some of that. And then, you know, you're going to see yourself set aside from other dropshippers and even big corporations like Amazon. You're going to be able to say, this was made in the USA. Right, so now you know why you might want a US dropshipping supplier. Let's try and figure out how you're going to get one. The first way of finding this is relatively simple. You just go on AliExpress and you see if they ship from the USA. There is a bit of a caveat here though, because they might be telling a little lie. And you often find that it's actually just shipping from somewhere like Guangzhou in China.
Liar!
If they're claiming that they ship from the USA, an easy way to double check this, just go to AliExpress and go contact supplier and get in touch with them. Install WeChat or Skype and get in touch with them and ask them for a sample tracking number and where exactly their warehouse is based. Second option here is you go on Alibaba and you find a USA fulfillment center. The only con of this, however, is you're going to have to come up front with a bunch of capital. And so if the word expensive doesn't ring quite so well in your mind, then this isn't going to be an easy option for you, because you're going to have to come in with a whole lot of cash to get a big load of products into a USA fulfillment center. Third option is CJ Dropshipping. If you're having slow delivery times from AliExpress, this is a great alternative. Just take your product from AliExpress, use the keywords, and try and find it on CJ. And hopefully you can get it there to your customers faster. Like CJ Dropshipping, completely different. And it's got an easy workflow just like AliExpress. So take your products from AliExpress and onto CJ Dropshipping to see if they're here, and then order them from the USA. But you know, you get the picture. Fourth method is SaleWho. You can just jump on here, tick dropshippers, and then find a bunch of suppliers, and you can peruse them at your leisure, get in touch with them, and see if they dropship from the USA. So this is SaleWho. I'll leave this link in the description for finding American dropshipping suppliers and a verified list. It is going to cost you a pretty penny. So what I try and do is just read their blogs, and I'll leave that link in the description for the US dropshipping suppliers. Definitely take a look at their free guides, and otherwise you're just going to be wanting to use the things we're discussing in this video. Fifth and final option here is eBay, the good old reliable eBay, which I haven't used in many years, but it turns out that it's actually a great hub for dropshippers. There's plenty of people who are manufacturing inside of the USA, who have got massive warehouses inside of the USA, who can ship directly to your customers. Lots of businesses on eBay are in that supply line within the USA, and that is going to help you keep your shipping times very low. Now what I try and do if I'm going to search for a product that I can't ship on AliExpress to the USA is I go to the advanced search and I scroll down to location, and I go about 1,000 miles from where I am right now, which is in Massachusetts, and then only located in the United States. So yeah, you can do either of these options. I'm already in the United States, but if you're not in the United States, you can go located in the United States. And then it's just a case of picking your niche. And of course, we're going to have to doing a video on that in the future. So you want to use one or all 5 of these to try and find a good supplier. At the end of the day, you're going to want a few, but as a beginner, just get one good, solid business relationship going. So in my life, I've been lucky enough to have many different jobs. First job was a cleanup boy at a butchery, pretty gross. And then I was an underwater porcelain technician, otherwise known as a dishwasher. Then I was a commie chef. Then I was a bartender. Then I was a bar manager. Then I was a cocktail bartender. That was pretty groovy. And then I was a videographer for a real estate company. Then I was a video editor. And then I was a videographer traveling around Europe. Now I'm a professional video editor and a content producer for Debutify, making these videos. And all along the way, the key thing that has kept me in a job or has made me move to a new job has been the people. So you want to find a good supplier, someone who understands you, someone who's good at communication, fast at communication, and who's going to come back and dropship with you again. As always in all lines of work, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're always going to want good people around you. It's going to make the job easier. And on top of that, if they know that you're going to come back now and time again with more products and more orders, they're going to want to work with you too. So you want to contact suppliers, do you? First thing you're going to want to do in this process is shortlist a bunch of questions that you can take to all of these different suppliers in all of these different areas. eBay, AliExpress, SaleWho, CJ Dropshipping, and many others. First question you want to ask is, do you sell to the general public? If they say yes, then they are not a genuine dropshipping supplier. They're just a retailer presenting themselves as a dropshipping supplier. And if you choose to work with somebody like this, you're going to be ending up paying too much for your products. And that's going to keep your profits low. A genuine dropshipping supplier is only going to sell products to retailers at wholesale cost. Second question you want to ask is, what is your returns policy? Returns, refunds are just part of the dropshipping game. They're just part of retail in general. People are always going to find a way to come back and say, oh, don't like it, sorry, give me my money back.
Want my money? Give me my money!
So be prepared for this. And you want to know from your supplier what their process for this is. How do they deal with it? And if they're kind of getting sketchy about it, this isn't the kind of person you want to work with. The returns process with your supplier should be hassle-free because it happens so often. So get the warranty and the guarantee from them so that they can be held accountable when things go wrong. Third question, where is your warehouse? This is definitely going to vet out people who aren't in the USA.
But I will be watching you.
I mean, they still could lie to you. You have to be careful that they say, you know, we're in Philadelphia, we're on Triangle Street, 391, just off the I-95. And you're like, sounds legit. It's going to be difficult for you to actually check this, but you know, and this is definitely a good start. If you're having any real issues, just call them up and say, can you just video chat me right now and show me the warehouse? And that's going to prove to you if they're in the USA or not. Now you're going to want to go for suppliers who are centrally located inside the USA. That's going to make sure that those shipping times stay low. And if the supplier is really nice and you get on really well, you can probably actually just go to their customer base that they've already got. I mean, you want to come in positively anyway, you want to come in open, and you want to see what they have to say. Ask lots of questions, show that you're keen, show that you're going to be in this for the long term, and it's definitely going to pay off for you. Number 4, do you charge fees? It's quite common for suppliers to charge a per order fee or a dropship fee. And this is going to cover costs related to packaging and shipping. It's usually between $2 and $5. And other suppliers are going to charge you a monthly fee just for being on their books. And this isn't the kind of person that you want to work with, unless they're just like absolute brilliant gods and it's just working super well. In any case, you should both understand the fee structure very clearly. It should be very transparent from the beginning. Fifth question to ask your supplier is, what is your minimum order requirement? If you're already doing really well on your Shopify store, this is probably kind of irrelevant to you, but as a beginner, it's pretty important to know if they want 50 orders from you, if they don't really mind, or if they want 5,000 orders from you. But if you're a new dropshipper, you want to be finding suppliers that have no minimum order requirements. And here are some extra quickfire questions that you can ask your supplier to make sure that everything's going to work out okay. What happens if my product doesn't arrive? What happens if the product is defective? What's the average profit expected for this kind of product? Do you send automated notifications for shipping to the customer, or should I do that? What happens if the product price goes up in the future? Is it likely to go up in the future? What's the availability of the product, and do you do discounts for bulk orders? And of course, you want to try and negotiate the payment terms, but I'll leave that up to you. Something to keep in mind if you're worried about pricing and you're not really sure how things work, you can get yourself legally incorporated. And this might give you a little bit more status when you're dealing with suppliers because you've got a little bit more validity in terms of tax and security within the state as a company. Something to keep in mind when you're first dealing with suppliers and you're talking about price is you can get yourself legally verified as a company. Being legally incorporated as a company is just going to give you a bit of weight when you're talking to dropshipping suppliers. They're going to see that you're a validated business in the eyes of the state. And you definitely want to avoid a sort of laissez-faire, we'll see how it goes, she'll be right kind of attitude. When you're talking to your suppliers, make sure that you've got your answers ready and prepared. And come at this with all of your integrity, all of your honesty and transparency, and try and make this work. This is where a lot of dropshippers fail because it is a bit weird dealing with people. So yeah, good luck. Now, another thing to consider when you're dealing with suppliers is getting a sample. It's completely okay for you to ask your supplier, hey, is it okay if I have a couple of samples? I want to see the quality of the product. And this is a real key mistake that a lot of dropshippers make. I mean, I did this with my Fairhead store. I was like, it's got such a long shipping time, I'm just going to start dropshipping it. And I mean, it's pretty crap. It arrived at my house. Me and my flatmates were like, yeah, the shower head's, it's not that good. You know, you can obviously tell it's just like cheap plastic. It'll probably be broken in 6 months. But you know, sometimes you don't have that luxury and you just start going for it. But what I'd really recommend is asking your suppliers, hey, can I get a sample? Unpackaging that box and just being like, all right, this seems pretty good quality. I'll drop ship it. If it's bad quality, it's gonna break and people are gonna ask for refunds and your whole business model is just gonna go.
I declare bankruptcy!
So yeah, pretty obvious. And when you ask all of these different suppliers for samples, be sure to ask each and every one to attach a tag with their company name so you can understand which product came from where. Ask for the exact product specifications, and when you're discussing all of this, be sure that the supplier confirms so you both are on the same page. All right, and that is that. I hope that you've learned a lot. If you did, feel free to comment below and subscribe to the video. Thanks for watching and have a great day.